Welcome to listening to Paint Dry with Mike and Dan, a podcast about the art and hobby of miniature painting. I'm Mike.
And I'm Dan. Thank you for joining us as we continue our quest to become better, braver, happier painters.
Holy crap, Dan, that went fast.
Yeah, no kidding. Those 4 days were pretty much a blur. Yeah.
Well, that's our recap, guys. Thanks for listening. We can't remember anything that happened.
Nope. Don't know why I'm dense, but I'm pretty dense right now. so hey,
you typed that yourself.
I think I was drinking. And speaking of drinking, I'm going to open up. I had so much fun doing our Patreon episode being inebriated. I'm going to do it again. So, oh shit, I spilled it all over. Of course I did, because why else wouldn't I? So tonight's beverage of choice is pomegranate Hefeweizen. Ta-da! I usually get the grapefruit. I really, really dig the grapefruit.
Do you mean Hefeweizen?
Hefeweizen.
Yeah, okay, Hefeweizen. Yeah, there. Yeah, okay.
What did I say?
I said Hefeweizen or something like that. Yeah.
Effervescence.
That's what it sounded like. I was like, is it effervescent?
No, it is. It smells very wonderful right now. So, as a child, I despised grapefruit, but now that I'm an old man, I can't get enough of it, especially when they put it in beer.
Well, just be careful. Don't take diazepam with it.
I don't even know what that is, but sure.
Valium, basically.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a side of. It's a big no-no.
And so is the dog barking during the show.
No. My son just came home from Passover. Seder. Yes, you did.
Fantastic.
I'm really confused right now, Mike, and we'll have to talk about that another day.
Number is
sure. His girlfriend is Jewish, and so there was that Seder.
Oh, okay. Now it makes sense.
Yep. Well, my wife's step family is Jewish as well, so. But that's neither here nor there. Anyways, where were we?
We are
getting drunk.
Yes. Look how pretty and pink that is.
It is nice looking.
It's like bloody pee. All right. So I guess what we need to do is probably go through the steps and everything else that we did last week. It feels like it was a whole entire week for us because it started on a Tuesday, right? So let's see.
No, we got there Thursday.
Okay. So Wednesday, I went to your place.
Yeah, you came over and crashed at my house Wednesday, and then we left Wednesday morning.
Yes.
Thursday morning.
Thursday morning.
And let's start out first, man. Damn, that was a fast flight there.
Yeah. I guess we'll talk about the flight back, but that was a pretty quick flight, and the unnerving part of that flight was the fact that there were points where I didn't feel anything at all. And it was very unnerving not to hear or feel the plane move or wind or turbulence or anything for about a good 5 or 10 minutes. That was pretty freaky, but relaxing at the same time.
Yeah, it was a very nice flight. I was stoked. We did get a little bit on the way down, but that was it. And so then we got to the hotel, which was not. We were at a hotel across the street, or across the highway.
Across the highway, yeah,
which was fine. Only thing that's probably was the biggest disadvantage was when we got there, which was awesome. We're walking into the con, greeted by the giant inflatable mech, and there outside are Banshee and Eric Swinson, and so that was nice to walk right in the beginning to see some familiar faces.
Yes,
which was a huge help.
That was a really good thing to be able to start off being in a very unfamiliar place, and two people you're very familiar with are there, and
right.
So that really set this whole thing into motion for us, or at least for me.
Yep. And then we went and got our badges, and then got shocked by because we both got the premium bag.
Yeah. So we decided to try the premium just to see what it was all about. And, I was expecting, going to Nova many, many times, you get a bag and you have a couple little things they put into it. Sometimes you have some really cool stuff that are extra outside of the regular swag bag for the first 300 or 400 people who register for Nova Open. But Describe the setting as you walked into that area for those who have not been there before. When
Yep.
after we got our badges.
So yeah, we walk in this like kind of roped off area, and on the right hand side or on the floor are all these big pull string bags that are kind of puffed out, pretty much filled to the brim of stuff. And so I picked that up and was like, awesome, thanks for the bag. And the guy goes, no, 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 these are yours as well, and points to 4 boxes. And we're like, oh, shit. And he's
Yeah.
like, if I had a nickel for every time anybody said that today. Now, on the other side was the rest of the stuff for the VIG, which I couldn't even imagine how we would have gotten home. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll
thank
talk
goodness.
about that.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
talk
talk
about
about
that
that
on
because we have
Sunday
to.
stuff. But
Yeah, we have to give
yeah,
a
it
shout
was
out to somebody.
quite horrific when I saw Mike grabbed his bag and then they're like, okay, well, here's a box because there's piles of boxes.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, okay, that's just product. No, that stuff you have to put your product in.
Right.
So I really wish we had a picture of you and I. So let's see, what was it like 30? No, it was like 45, 50 degrees outside. I'm wearing 3 layers.
Yep.
We just walked a fast pace about a mile. So
Yep.
it felt really, really good to walk into the sauna.
Right.
And then be handed arms full of stuff. Now I have a list of all the stuff that we got in these boxes.
Right. And so here's something different. This is something that is very different from like a Nova Open swag bag. So a Nova Open swag bag is probably 30% product, 70% tchotchkes from Nova Open. Like Nova Open printed material, like stuff on it that's got the Nova Open logo.
Yeah.
This was 90-10, 90% product, 10% Adepticon.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely was. And I'm still and I'm still finding more stuff that I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like,
Right.
How do I get one of these things too? Jeez.
Right. And I didn't, and it's amazing. I came home with all that stuff and I did not even hit $100 in the vendor hall.
Oh, we'll talk about vendor hall.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I mean, it
Yeah.
was still, you don't have to buy anything to come home with a crap ton of stuff.
I did not buy anything until the last day.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel a need to buy anything. There were things that I had that I wanted to purchase. And those sold out really quick, but I felt like I had enough already just by being there and didn't really need to buy anything, like you said. There were some great vendors there, some neat stuff. And I grabbed a couple of things that really, got my fancy. So definitely. So do we want to talk? I have a list of all the wonderful things that we were given at this place.
Sure.
So
Well, before you go into that list,
yeah, what's up?
So here, let me just tell so the two of us are walking around the vendor hall, hoping to
finish that part.
hoping to find a friend that might have a place where they've camped out, just so we can dump our crap. And that didn't work out. So we actually wound up taking an Uber back to our hotel and dropping all that stuff off
and changing because I was so disgusting.
Yeah, it was so hot inside.
Yeah, and I was telling Mike, for all you listeners, I was like, hey, I was listening to Dave Taylor in his podcast. And he was talking about how you prep for this. And he's like, I've been there enough times. I know what it's going to feel like inside. So I only have one jacket. And I was like, okay. 50s for me. I was like, it's going to be cold. It's going to be rainy at some point. I'm going to dress in layers. No, one layer was too much because it was so stinking hot in there.
Yeah, it really was. And but we did get snow throughout the weekend too, which I was quite surprised. We had some pretty heavy snow at one, especially Friday night.
And it felt good to stand outside.
It did.
Yeah,
it did. There were times when I was kind of like, really bummed out that we didn't have a spot to drop our stuff, or a
Yeah.
car to go
And,
throw it in, and
and again, I wish we had that video or a picture of us as we're walking with our arms packed. We both have backpacks because we're planning on staying there because we have painting classes. So I have
right.
my paints. We have all my painting supplies in my backpack. I have a huge box, and then on top of the huge box is this red bag.
Yep.
And we're trying to go through the vendor hall, and I'm like, man, this has got to be the stupidest looking thing.
And we
Going
ran
on
into
in
other
this.
friends too, and I was kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, and I saw somebody. I was like, wait, please tell me, Ray, you're at the Renaissance. Is there any chance we could throw this in your room? And he goes, I'm in the Regency. I thought I was at the Renaissance.
Yeah, I heard a couple people say the same thing. So I wonder, I wonder what happened with that. I wonder where that disconnect was.
It
We
happens.
weren't even there. We were later in the process of this, so the hotels were all already taken up. And
Well, we didn't decide to go until right before tickets were sold, and so the hotel block was already gone. Well before then. I wouldn't be surprised if the hotel block doesn't come out in like another month. You know what I mean? And so we'll have to make a decision. I would like to stay there, but we'll talk about that later. It's not the end of the world if we don't.
No, I mean, we can talk about that later on in the show.
So now go ahead and go through the list of stuff that was in the goodie bag.
We did get something from Reaper, which is a Bones figure. I don't know which one you got. I got the
troll
Crawley. Okay, I got the Swashbuckler. We got Victoria Miniatures limited edition.
Commissar, right?
Commissar looking one, yeah.
Yep.
We got some stuff from Weird.
Yeah, we got a miniature from Weird, which is Malifaux.
Yeah, Malifaux. We got Malifaux pieces, I think. Parabellum gave us some another figure, which is probably around 54 millimeter plastic. Mine, I think we had the same thing. It looks like a knight.
Yeah, it's the Lord. It's the young noble or noble lord.
Yes, nobleman. That was pretty cool. We got a bunch of 15 millimeter figures from Warlord Games.
Right, we got that sheet of like the sprue of horse. Yeah.
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 Let's see. We got Tavern Crate, which is actually pretty cool. So that's the Adepticon stuff for fantasy
terrain
scenery terrain.
Right, it was terrain crate. Yeah.
Yeah, which is actually there's two big bags in there. So there's like an inside one for like inside of a cabin or a bar or something like that, a tavern, and then there was one for its exterior, which was pretty cool, I thought.
Yep.
God tier figures. We got a Gloomhaven puzzle, 1,000 pieces. We got the Pirates of Skydock game from Force. Gale
Force 9.
And one that both of us were pretty excited about was the Hydra tank for the G.I. Joe version of Crisis Protocol.
Yeah,
which was huge box.
Right.
It's gigantic.
But what's inside it is not.
Yes, as Mike pulls it out, and we're like, "What? What is this?" Then we got some stickers. We got some like counters, game counters, a couple little trinkets here and there. The red bag, which was actually packed. There was a lot of stuff in there, and it's just a lot of trinkety things and lots of figures. I think, like Mike said, I think it's pretty cool that there was just a lot of branding and stuff from companies, a lot of swag from the companies themselves.
Right. Hey, don't forget the Warcry dice from Games Workshop.
Oh, yeah, we got a box of those things, didn't we?
Yeah. Can't even give those damn things away.
Yeah, I tried selling them, and they just laughed at me.
Yeah. I'm trying to give them to like 3 different people, and they're like, no.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, maybe I can split these up into BattleTech stuff, but no.
Yeah.
So we spend the next hour or so sweating our way to the hotel and sweating our way back.
Mm-hmm.
At least we got to walk back and cool off, and then we were there just enough time to, I think, just grab something really quick snack to eat, and then just a real quick run of the vendor hall. Really,
Right.
it wasn't until later on where I really had a chance just to walk around, and I think same with you, Mike. Really, just to see
Right.
what's going on.
Because we had that
Um,
4 o'clock class with
because
Ricardo
we had the
Agostina.
4 o'clock class, so we
Agostina.
had to jump into the 4 o'clock class.
And it's
Um,
funny because I kept running in, like, while we're prepping, getting ready for the 4 o'clock class. I kept, like, if I went outside to go to the bathroom, ran into the Eons of Battle guys, got to say hi to them, and then had to run out to get water, and ran into, that's when I first saw Dave Taylor, and, like, just, then, ran into Anthony Rodriguez, also known as Pirate Monkey. And so it was great. It was good. And, it's funny. There's a couple of people, like I ran into Zambies, and I ran into the Eons of Battle guys, like the first, like, hour and a half we were actually in the venue, and I never saw them again.
oh wow. Well, I
you
mean,
know,
it's if you haven't been there, it's big enough footprint.
yeah.
But they were playing games, I believe. So once you decide to go into any of those game rooms, that's it. I mean, you disappear for a while because there's a lot of stuff going on, and we know that we have a lot of our artists that are just there for the hobby part of it. So they all hung out in the Hobby Haven area, and that was where the most of the, if not all the classes were at that location.
Right. And the other big hangout for artists too was right above where going up the escalator. So where Fort Wapple is kind of, where a good portion of the classes are. It's kind of under an escalator. Um, it's kind of a tiny area. Um, I appreciate what it is because in that hobby area, they have GW paints, Army Painter paints, Pro Quill paints, Chimera paints, anything you want to basically try out. You don't take them, you just try them out and use them. But there's so much stuff there. There's hobby tools there, even a little bit of basing material and stuff. It's a great area uh, to be at and hang out. And I'll be honest, it was kind of cool. There were a couple of times I was sitting in there and they just randomly came by and gave out prizes. I
Really?
got a set of Batman miniatures and I got another Reaper figure as well. So it was really kind of cool that just being in there painting frantically, trying to finish my entries, which I will not be doing that again next year. If it is not done before the convention, I'm not doing that to myself. I felt like it really I struggled against that, and we'll talk more about that later. But anyways, so it was a great area. They have a set of volunteers there. They kind of keep watch and make sure people don't just put their stuff up and leave. And so if you get up and leave and you're gone for like an hour and a half, they will pack your stuff up nicely and move it so somebody else can get in there and work. And so it's kind of nice. It's kind of different than other conventions that I've dealt with where they don't allow camping.
Yeah, definitely. Camping can be an issue because of the tight space that you have.
Yeah, the biggest issue with there were two things: the size of it. They needed more space because it's outgrown. It's totally outgrown that area.
Yeah.
And the second thing is the lighting. The lighting is it really was the worst lit place in the convention.
Yes. Now I do appreciate that they had OT lights for
Yes.
each table, so I thought that was
But they didn't have
definitely-
OT lights per chair. And so they were basically what was happened is they originally set it up where it was one OT light, one chair, and then they just kept adding chairs. And so there were chairs that didn't have any light to them. I wound up having to share a few times. I had the pleasure of sitting next to David Diamondstone for a while, who I got to meet at ReaperCon last year. And then chatting with him while I was frantically finishing my entry, and they're laughing at me while I was doing it. And so it was great to be able to see some familiar faces, etc. And then I was there painting with Anthony Wang for a while because he was still frantically trying to finish his entry as well.
Yep.
That's when we found out Steven Garcia was locked himself into a hotel room somewhere, and nobody saw him until Saturday.
Oh my gosh.
And then when did Will come in? Friday?
I didn't see Will until Friday, or was it Friday or Saturday?
Saturday's
So
when I saw him, but I think he came in Friday.
it might have been Friday night though,
Yeah.
because I didn't
Oh
see
no,
him
he
until
came in Friday night. Yeah,
was it
absolutely.
okay? Because I didn't see him, and I think I saw him just a little bit before you saw him. And he was with Eric, and they were on a mission, so I didn't want to hold them up. That's
Right.
why I don't have any pictures like you do of them. All
Right.
right, so we want to go to. Do we want to go to Friday, or are we going to talk about classes and
Oh, let's
stuff?
talk about Ricardo's class a little bit because it was pretty
Okay.
good.
Okay.
Yeah, it was called Light and Shadow, and it was a 2-hour class that was focused on the way light reflects off of different surfaces. And this one focused on, we used a piece from a Chimera miniature and worked on its cloak and kind of sketched out where the lights and the shadows were. And it was pretty good. I mean, it was 2 hours. It was quick. I probably could have done another hour in that class with refinement and work.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think
Um,
being able to put that sketch down um, was pretty cool.
yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and since you brought it up already, I want to segue just a little bit. Um, not only does the Fort Wapple have uh, sponsored, and they have a full stock of Chimera paints, Pro Acryl paints. I can't remember who else. There was
It
just
was
tons of
Citadel
paints.
Army Painter. Yeah.
So yeah, all of them, all the classrooms had full sets essentially also. And I
Right.
thought it was amazing that if one of the instructors, as we go through the whole entire weekend, like, hey, I want you to use these paints and these colors, there was not a problem us getting a hold of that color and that paint
Yeah.
from that manufacturer. Every room had it. So I know out there in the world, there's probably some companies or there's some cons that want to be exclusive. Um, this is where everybody's working together to make sure that the hobby side is being taken care of. There was no bickering. There was no mine's going to be on top. It was just tubs of these paints, and they were given to Fort Wapple and to the hobby community to work it and use it.
It was great
And
advertising because I actually sat down for a few minutes and tried out some different paints that I had never
yeah,
tried before.
I didn't have to drop $100 on a pack of Chimera paints to test them out and see what they were like.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man, I like them.
I, yeah,
Which
I struggled with them. They were very different than what I'm used
Yes,
to.
they are, and
And
I wish once we get into what we bought and everything, I did pick up another couple things, and I wish I would have tested those out because I'm having a hard time with those. They're heavy body paints, and I have a
mhm,
difficult time with them. They're great for glazing, but if I'm not doing glazing, I have to go
yeah.
to another thicker type of paint to put base coats down. But maybe that's just something I need to learn to go into. Maybe that's what it's
Yeah.
for.
What did we eat for dinner? Oh, we did buffalo. No, what did we do for dinner
Oh,
Thursday night?
so after dinner you ran off with one of your friends. I had another class at 7. You got and then I met up with you
At
after
Buffalo Wild. Yeah, I went with Dan
after
Dougal, who I'd met a couple
yes.
at ReaperCon 2022.
Yes, the another other
Or
Dan.
2021. And Dan's a good friend of the show too. Another Dan, and then you met us over there. And then you
Yes, and
finally figured out Uber, so I didn't have to do your
yes.
Ubers for you
I don't know why you
after
were
that.
doing it. I was just like, okay, whatever. Um, okay. For a couple bucks, it was worth everybody's skin to be able to have Uber to go to places and do
Yeah.
certain things. And I haven't been to Buffalo Wild Wings in an awful long time. Maybe it was the airplane ride and whatever I did or did not have for lunch, but that was the best damn freaking hamburger I had in ages. I think I was just hungry.
Wait till we talk about
Wait till we
Sunday
talk about
night.
yes. Wait till we talk
Sunday
about Sunday
night.
though.
Yeah.
Sunday night, yeah.
Sunday night
Uh,
is the problem. And then we
so
just crashed really after that.
well, I had another class. You crashed, I guess. I don't know.
No, that was Friday night. You had your long class. That Thursday night we went
No,
to
I still had a class though. I had a 7 to 9. That's why I was late to dinner.
right, but after then you came over to Buffalo Wild Wings, and then we walked
Yeah,
back across to our hotel,
yeah,
and then we were done for the night.
yeah.
I painted for a few hours, fell asleep sitting at the desk
multiple times.
multiple times.
Yeah.
Just
So we're
resting
gonna
my
go.
eyes, Dan.
So we going to? Are we going to Friday then?
Yeah, let's go on to Friday then.
Okay. So Friday. Did you have any morning classes? I had
No.
a 10 o'clock. So the horrible thing about it is nothing opens until 10, and then my first class was a painting session for Battletech. You pay a couple bucks, you get a mech, and they teach you how to paint. I kind of skipped the teaching paint part. I used their color and their scheme. But yeah, thank you very much there, Mike. Um, I I when I got home, I kept looking at this figure and I was like, I kind of like these colors, and I have spent an entire week finishing that figure. That started off with 3 colors at um at their painting booth, and I have spent a whole week painting that thing, and I'm having a blast painting
Well,
this thing.
have you recovered from the sticky primer?
So get this, everybody. So we all read these things. How do you strip your miniatures? And Mike, I don't know if I talked to you about this or not. So I use the LA Awesome stuff, and it usually takes care of everything.
Right.
Sometimes I use alcohol. So I know I'm pretty old, but it finally clicked to me that, like, hey, different type of manufacturers, you have to use different types of products.
Right.
So I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put one part of it in the LA Awesome, and I'll put the other one in the alcohol.
IPA. So what are you using? Are you using 99 or 91?
I use 90%, 90,
Okay.
91, somewhere in there. So lo and behold, nothing happened. And I was like, this sucks. So I used my ultrasonic cleaner, or threw them in there, or freshed up the liquids and everything. And I was like, this is stupid. So I threw them both in a jar, and one of them stripped like immediately. I was like, well, that's kind of fucking weird. So I got the one that didn't strip, and I put it into the other stuff. It was like a pre-bath took weakened it.
Mm-hmm.
With the LA Awesome, I could not scrub anything off of it. It didn't touch it. But if I put that into the rubbing alcohol, within 30 minutes, it just fell off. It was the weirdest shit in the world. I was super stoked. So I went through and restripped all of my models. Everything I've had problems with, I went and I spent like $20 on this stuff and just started stripping things for the last week. It's been fantastic. All clean
Nice.
models. I get to start all over again. All new piles of gray. I love it. So I did not. I did not strip the model itself. I stripped the smoke part.
Yeah.
Because it has jump packs. That was the part that I stripped.
Okay.
But the figure, I was like, you know what? I really like these colors. I want to see if I can do something with it. So I did have to go back over it with some black paint and some black primer, but I just brushed that on and just built on top of that. Had a blast. I loved it. Not for the class as much, but I got the figure and I enjoyed it pretty much.
Well, that's good. I mean, and it's the woman who paints the Battletech snow globes, right?
Yes.
Nice. Just a point of reference. I don't know what that artist's name is, but so then
Amelia.
Okay, and then we had another class together, which was the really one I was really excited about, which is the loaded brush with Ben Komitz.
Learn the loaded brush with Ben Komitz. Yes.
Yeah, and I really so I thought in general the class is very good. He is honed at his craft. He knows what he's doing. He's been teaching this and mastered this technique for a long time. The 5 minutes of one-on-one with him was invaluable. Like, that to me was worth every penny of the class, because he's like, okay, you're doing this wrong. This is right. This is wrong. Here's how you do it. This is the consistency you want. And being able to see that right there in front of my face. And then going, oh no, see, you're getting better. You're doing these rights. And, like, it was it was super helpful. Really enjoyed it. The funny part of it was who was sitting in front of us.
Yeah.
It was Marco from Not Just Mecca. I love that guy. And so he's somebody we're going to try to have on the show at some point down the road. He's just a very jovial, very
Yes.
positive hobby personality. Enjoyed being next to him and chit chatting off and on in the class. And so that was great.
Hmm.
Um,
And then from there we had a couple.
what did you
I
think of the
had.
loaded brush class?
I thought it was good. I
Mhm.
love the way that he has his practice.
Right.
I have tons of those little cubes and
Yeah, right.
anything of it, and I like, wow, that is fantastic. Um,
Right. So those who don't know, he gives you a couple of black primed wooden cubes. I think they're what, half inch by half inch or
Something like
something
that.
like
They're
that.
really small.
They're really
Yeah.
small. And then first thing you do is you paint a gradient wet blended on one side, and then you actually create 9 little boxes on another side, and that's where you're prepping to each time.
Just go ahead. Don't worry about what I'm doing.
Each time you're supposed to hopefully improve as you do each cube, and you number them to see where you are, etc. So it was a really neat teaching technique,
Yes, definitely.
and so that was fun.
And then Mike got to go play with all his friends, and I had a chance to melt my brain.
Yeah, yeah, right. So
So,
just the basically what I did was I went back to Fort Wapple and painted for like 5 of those hours.
just 5 of those because the class was still going on.
Right, because then I went to dinner with a friend Dan Dougal, and Dan met us later. No,
No, that was the next day. You went with
no, I went back to the hotel. Never mind, that's right. I didn't go to Fort Wapple. I went back to our hotel,
oh, you did?
and I painted at
Oh,
our
okay.
hotel, and I got Lou
Oh, that's right. You got
Malnado's,
the pizza. That's right,
the
or whatever it was.
50-pound pizza, which was fantastic, by the way. But anyways,
Mhm.
Dan, your class.
All
That's
right,
the
I
highlight
went.
of.
Yeah, the highlight of this whole thing was meeting Kaha with her Harmony and Contrast Academy class. 6 long hours of having my brain sucked out and stuck into a blender and mixed with every color paint you can imagine. I thought trying to live in a world where I learned how to paint with Roman and taking it 2 or 3 years to process was a hard thing. I may never be able to process the stuff that she showed me. Um, it was, yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It's her use of colors and how you get the colors to harmonize throughout the whole entire miniature. Um, I have never seen that before. Now, as in me in my eyeballs seeing it. Now that I look at her figures, I know what she's talking about, and I see this new level of colors and how they all interact together. I don't know how to paint that, but I recognize it now. So maybe in my next life, I might be able to actually paint it. But it was a really cool class, and it definitely taught me some theories and ideas that I have never experienced before. So I'm pretty happy about it. And she was a very hands on how she was teaching. She would explain something for a while, and then she would actually do it, and then we would do it, and then she would walk around and help us out, and she constantly walked around and asked us, how we were doing, what were, if we had any questions, we can go up and ask her, and then she would point out some areas, and that was kind of eye opening also. So um, I had 3 different, I guess, fields of colors, and since we were trying to harmonize, um, she would talk me through like, okay, well, you have this here, where else should it be? And that was kind of, where our conversations would lead. um, definitely for display painter and competition painter, that is definitely where that realm is. Tabletop, maybe not as much, but unless you want some super hot tabletop. But it was a great class. She's a super teacher and she's super nice. Um, and yeah, I think it would be fun to take other classes of hers, because this was just one aspect of what she does, and I think it would be neat to see what other classes she has. I didn't even see, this is the first one that jumped out and I grabbed it. But it'd be cool to see how she teaches some of her other classes. That would be a lot of fun. But 6 hours, I think we will probably talk about this later on. That is a soul suck. Um, and I do want to talk about Friday night one more time, because I did have a class Friday night, and that was a weathering class with
Oh yeah.
Stiff Neck Studios. Since we're talking about classes, it was pretty cool. They able to go through the entire process of every type of weathering that you can do, from dry to wet to stippling to scraping to painting to oils to acrylics to watercolors, you name it. It was pretty cool and very helpful. I think it would be much more fun if we had a figure and did a very, very long class on that. I do believe they might have that somewhere out there, because I think this is more of an intro to it.
Well, it seems these guys, from what you've told me, these guys are pros at this. Like they have their
They are.
whole.
They don't have to think about it. And it was interesting to listen to Wes, who's the owner, and he was the one who was teaching the class. About, he's like, I don't write this stuff down because I do it so much. I can just tell you what it is and tell
Right,
you
and
what
our
to do.
good friend, guest of the show,
Yes,
Alex Good was in there.
Alex Good was there also. Yep, and we had some good conversations and joking around about things. And
You had some good conversations with Alex Good.
yeah, I did.
He's awesome. He's funny. He's a funny personality. I like him.
Mm-hmm. Nope, same guy we had many, many years ago. It's so it was good to as you said, seeing old friends and talking to them, everything is always a blast, especially if you're in one of their classes. There's a different kind of connection you have with them.
Yep.
So it was a lot of fun. So yeah, after my brain melted and I got back home, I went to sleep and Mike kept on painting, and
Yep.
I was done with my day of hell.
That was a good day, though. It was a good day. And then we get to Saturday, which is the day I'm not sure I saw you until what?
We didn't see until late because we both had.
Well, you were in grinders all day long. You were
I
playing. You had
had
games set up.
That was Saturday. Oh, that is Saturday, right?
Yeah,
Oh
right.
yeah. Wait a minute. Understanding non-metallic.
Oh, you had that during the day, and well, no,
Oh
that was
yeah, 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 yeah,
Sunday.
yeah.
That was
That's right.
Sunday.
No, I had Saturday and Sunday. I had grinders.
I thought you had the NMM class on Sunday, though.
No, I had that on Saturday.
Was it Saturday? Okay.
It was like 8:30 in the morning.
Oh
We were
yeah,
all
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and then yeah, I don't have your list on here. So that was the only painting class I had. So I had been again. So go go to sleep at 11, 12, 1 something, and then have to jump up and be down at the convention center for 8:30 class. But I'm an early riser anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Non-metallic class was fantastic.
Right. Yeah, but you were getting up and going to the gym every morning too, so
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I was thinking it was a different type of non-metallic metal class, more of identifying where those are. It was more of a basic class, but super helpful because it talked about the very basics of what non-metallic is and where reflections are coming from. So that was really cool because you have your main reflection, you have your secondary reflections, but then you have a horizon. How do you get all those together? Where it is, when you have cones and that sort. We started going into some of that, so it was really cool. And this class was, I would say, probably one of the upper tier classes I've had, because he would walk you through something, demonstrate it, and then we would work on it, and then he would take it to the next step. And he did these in stages. So for the full, I think it was a 4 hour class. No, that was a lot longer than that. 1, 2, 3, 4.5, 5 hour class. It seemed like every hour, hour and a half, we started a new stage, because we were done, like that first stage we were done in like 30, 40 minutes. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be a long one, just like last night. What are we going to do? We can't just keep practicing. And what about all these other things on this? He had a gauntlet, is what we practiced on. He had a gauntlet commissioned, I guess, in out of resin. And that's what we worked on, because it has all the elements that we should be looking at.
Right, all the shapes, all the different shapes, yeah. And some weird shapes on it too.
So we slowly started to build into each of those different shapes as the day went on. I loved that technique, and that workshop, I think, was phenomenal. I really, really enjoyed that. And I got almost a completed gauntlet, and I think it looks kind of decent. Once again, he's there. He's showing you how to do stuff. He's talking to you while he's demonstrating it. He'll grab a piece and demonstrate if you have a specific question about something. So he was really hands-on, and that was great. And then after that was nonstop BattleTech for the rest of the day, and it was awesome. So yeah, I killed things. I got killed. I had a lot of my BattleTech friends from tournaments were there, so it was great to see them. And
they killed you as well, right?
Yeah, everybody killed everybody. So yeah, that's always a super joy.
Perfect.
I forgot how much I enjoy the BattleTech world. I definitely enjoy all the guys from Southern Assault. It's always a wonderful time meeting with them and hanging out. They make this convention and Nova and Southern and Northern Assaults worth going to.
And huge shout out to Josh from the Mech Bay podcast. We got to spend some time with him.
And yes, and Denham was there also. He's part of the podcast. He is on their demo team, so he teaches people how to play, and he helps people like me to learn how to play when they forget after years of not playing it. So the grinder is classic BattleTech. So that's 1 point to your arm, 2 points to your arm. Take your seatbelt check, make sure you didn't fall out of your seatbelt when your mech falls down, see if you got a concussion. Did someone shoot you in the eyeball? Did you forget how to stand up? All those kind of weird things. The real RPG 40-year-old game. Where Alpha Strike is more like Kill Team, where it's super fast. Once you get into the middle of things, everybody just starts dying. Much different. So yeah, having to relearn that. So what the grinder is you start with a random mech, and then if you die, you go back and you get another mech, and then you have a portfolio. You get marked off, when your mech dies and when you kill mechs, and what's supposed to happen is you buy into this, for slots, and then as you kill things, you get salvage, or you get mechs, or you get things like that, and we can talk about that stuff too.
Yep. You get some prizes, except they ran out of prizes because they opened it up. Yada yada yada.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on how not to treat you people.
Customers. Yeah, absolutely. Anyways, so while Dan was doing that, I was busy getting I got my Resin Beast entry in on Friday, and then on Saturday around 1-ish, I got my Golden Demon entry in, and it got put in the shelf and didn't move again until I picked it up. It literally stayed in the same exact spot, never moved. Card was in the same location. All 6 miniatures were pointing in the same exact direction after they put it in, and I don't know if that means they shelf judged it and when this sucks so bad, we're just going to not touch it again, or if I just got overlooked and didn't get judged. Whatever. Doesn't matter. But that was done. It was a relief. I walked around the vendor hall, and then I had a 7-hour bender with Francesco Farabi in a class called How to Be a Better Miniature Painter. We painted a Chimera model. He started out, he gave us about an hour of conversation, maybe a little bit more, about his approach to miniature painting and color theory, etc., and an explanation of what we're going to do. And then we basically painted for almost 6 hours straight with him going between us, talking about color choices and what our next stage is, and making corrections and stuff. It was just, his explanations were fantastic. One of the big values of these classes is just being able to get that immediate feedback to what you're doing and how you're painting. And so it's really hard sometimes to feel like you're progressing as an artist when you're just doing it all by yourself. But being able to go to a convention and take a class and get immediate feedback from your instructor, who are, they're all amazing artists that, amazing award-winning artists, like Francesco's won his Slayer, he's got his Slayer swords and demons and all that, and all those awards too, and his Expo International Painting Awards. And so now he just wants to teach. Doesn't want to compete. He wants to teach other people how to paint. It was fun. We do know one thing, that Francesco is hooked on caramel macchiatos. And we really enjoyed it. And Francesco hopefully will be another guest on the show down the road here. And so I came out of the class. I was pretty brain dead. But a big shout out to my friend Dan Dougal, sat next to me. We met a former Patreon of ours, Nick. And then a local to me, friend Evan was in the class. And so it was really kind of cool. There was another gentleman in the class. I can't think of his name right now. But he rightfully pointed out that I should not say we're going to get on a regular production schedule, because we don't. Fair point. I'll say to this gentleman. Go ahead.
So Evan sat next to me during the class that I had with Ben. On So that was pretty cool, because we got to just talk about like general stuff, because we're all from the same area. So it was
right. And so it was great that we flew to a suburb of Chicago to meet local painters from our area.
Yes. And more than just one.
More than just one, no.
Yeah, I wish I could remember his name, but he was from Fairfax.
Right.
And then there was somebody else from our area too. I was like, what in the world? It's pretty cool.
Right. Absolutely. And so hopefully, we'll be able to throw together some paint time together. That would be a lot of fun. So that was my night. Then the Saturday night, then I was starving, and so I wound up walking to a gas station, which I thought it was a lot closer than it was, but it was, probably about a mile away from the hotel. And then I walked a mile back. I haven't eaten a gas station sandwich in a long time. Hopefully never again. But I was tempted when I first came out of the class, because the Golden Demon shelves were right there and nobody was there. But I was so brain dead from the class, so there was just no way that I was going to be able to process looking at the entries in there. I did go by and see mine. I was like, oh, they haven't judged it yet. It's still sitting there. Then, that was the end of the day. So then Sunday, basically you just battle teched all day Sunday, didn't you?
So Sunday was Sunday. Oh no, I had Sam Linz's
you had wet blending
class. That was in the morning. But after that, I've actually had time to walk around the vendor area and buy stuff. That was, I mean, in between classes, you have like 45 minutes or an hour. And then I would, walk real quick around. But I really had time just to walk and study things and say, oh, I want to purchase this if it's still here, and things like that. So that was kind of cool. And at one point we walked around and we saw a couple vendors and we talked to them. Kit from Game Envy was one of the first ones I ran into, and I think that was on Friday.
Friday,
So I
yeah.
definitely talked to him for a couple minutes, and he just started to laugh because he's like, "Yeah, I know. I need to give you guys an email." Like, that's all right. We're not here for that.
Right, and I
And
finally got to meet Kit. He had never met me, and so most of the time, for listeners out there, people don't believe, our guests don't believe Dan exists. But Kit was one of the rare ones that didn't believe I existed because I just kept I just kept missing Kit at events, and so it's pretty funny. We also got to talk to Jason Craze from Monument, who has been a guest on the show as well. He was super
yep.
excited. It was super exciting to see him.
Yeah, it was actually nice to meet him and chat for a couple minutes.
Yep, he's very hobby oriented, and we're hoping to have him on the show not too long from now. And so I guess one little quick thing, a note: Saturday night was the Resin Beast Awards ceremony. Unfortunately, I was in my not unfortunately. It was unfortunate timing that they had it Saturday at 6:00 because I was in the Francesco Farabi class. I found out I made it into the top 10 in my category, which was awesome. I'm really excited. When I picked it up on Sunday, they gave me this huge bag of goodies. It had miniatures in it, paints in it, dice in it. It was great. It was a nice little consolation prize. I didn't make the top 3, but I was in the top 10, and I was either 8 or 9. So just made it in there, but it was eye-opening in a sense because I spent less than 20 hours on that piece and it placed and it looked pretty good, I think. Spent over 120 hours on my Golden Demon entry and it didn't even get moved. So
How does that make you feel, Mike?
you know what? Honestly,
I'm just messing. You don't have to.
at the time, no, it's okay. At the time, I was embarrassed actually because I was standing there talking with Anthony Wang, one of the guests of our show. Awesome guy, loved hanging out with him. And I heard people who were walking by it make comments about the fact it was on the bottom shelf.
It wasn't even worthy to get into the second to last shelf.
Right. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
And
Fine.
coming to the conclusion, I had some nice conversations with Vince Venturella, who is just the bomb. Just one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in the hobby. And he has, just a quick plug for him, he has a great video about why he's not going to paint for the demon anymore. You should check, if you haven't checked it out already, which I'm sure we share audiences, but if you haven't, it is definitely worth a listen. I think if we go next year to the Golden Demon, I will put an entry in. I will approach it very differently than I did this year. I really leaned into trying to paint to what I thought they would want as opposed to painting what I paint. And that was a huge fail on my part.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that stuff. We'll talk about all the stuff we want to do for next.
Well, we're almost done. I mean, we're through Saturday. We're on to Sunday.
Or Sunday. Well, let's talk about the after the con ended. I mean, I don't know if you had a class or not. It was just buying last minute things and playing those last couple of games until getting kicked off of the table from Callus because they wanted to pack up.
Right.
Until close, I guess 4:00 or so.
Well, you did it in 2 sections though. I remember because you gamed some in after the Ben class or after the Sam class,
and then
we walked around the vendor hall.
Yeah, and then you were in somewhere because I got something to eat at lunch. I guess I don't know what you were doing, or I couldn't find you or something.
No, we had lunch together because we had lunch together.
Was that Sunday?
That was Sunday. We had the burrito bowls on Sunday.
Okay.
And then we walked over to the cases, and that's when we ran into a bunch more people, Anthony and Will, and Josh from Quarter Paint. And so, and I floated around the area above Fort Wapple because that's where kind of a lot of people were hanging out. Kind of met during, we didn't talk about this before, but we were buying drinks from the concession stand and ran into Brett from Goobertown Hobbies and Casey from eBay Miniature Rescues. And while you were gaming, I was upstairs and I was, had a lovely conversation with Africa Amir, who is a sculptor. And we're really excited. Hope we're in the process of arranging her being on the show. She'll be our first sculptor. her, and then Riccardo Agostini, who we had met previously, and then Eric was hanging around. Will, Dave Phillips, who's another great painter. He's gotten back into painting, but he's also gotten huge into sculpting. It was just raining. That's when I met Ninjon or John Ninas, and trying to think. There were so many people that were up there right around the Starbucks. And I kept running into Lila Mev, who was a guest of the show, and congratulations to her for taking the plunge, becoming a full-time mini painter. And so we wish the best to her, and hopefully we'll have her on again, and she could talk to us about this next step of her hobby journey as well. So that was pretty cool. There's a lot of potential guests. Met Andy Wardle. We're hoping to have him on the show as well. That dude is just that guy just is an amazing painter. Love his NMM. Love his NMM is amazing, but his face painting has gotten through the roof.
Yeah, that was a crazy piece he did.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think his best piece won anything. I love that Techless piece. I know everybody's raving about the Lord of Gluttony guy that he took off the chariot and made a kind of just sitting down thing.
Yeah.
And that won a gold medal, but a gold demon. But I thought the Techless was in the open division. Whew.
Yeah.
It was so silky smooth. And the face on that, even the face on that was just like, that dude's going to start talking.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see.
So Dan, really quickly, what did you buy?
So, let's see. I've been promising Death Ray Designs that I was going to buy some scenery off of them for BattleTech for my own tables. So I bought a bunch of stuff from them. Actually, when we talk about what we've been working on, if we get to that,
I don't know. We're already in an hour, so
who cares? Remember, we said we didn't care.
Yep, we don't.
So I bought some resin scenery.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like a command post kind of thing. It's a drop zone command post, not a game drop zone, just a base drop. And a bunch of mech bays for repairs and stuff like that. So it's really good scenery to have, and you can put them in. You can put the mechs in there and play stompy with them. So I got that.
And that's when I got to meet the armed painter as well, which
that's
is nice.
When you got to paint Justin Hall from Death Ray Designs, who's the armed painter.
Nice.
And he's also a Camo Specs painter also now.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up 2 boxes of Scale 75 artist paints, the heavy-bodied ones. I'm digging them. I think I just need to practice with them a lot more. I definitely see what they're capable of doing. Glazes are pretty cool, but I have to learn how to control it a little better. Their drying time is really odd.
Mm-hmm. And it's not consistent. It's not consistent between the paints either. And I even noticed that in the flesh set. In the flesh set that I had, but I gave to Dave Hoffman. It was the drying times were very inconsistent between all 5 of the colors in that set.
Yeah. And then I noticed that when they do dry, some have reactivated on me. So I'm not sure if that's supposed to happen.
Interesting. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I thought Yeah. I don't know if I haven't let them dry long enough. I just think this is just a skill that I need to just work on. I think it's not like other stuff. It's not like other paints. You just have to work it differently. And I think it's not like dropping GW paints or AK paints and just painting with it. I can do that all day long. This is definitely a lot more different. So I just have to get used to it.
Well, I'm surprised that there's a reactivation issue given how much matte medium is in those things. Those are
I don't know
matte.
I don't know if it is a reactivation. I just know if I wait 20 minutes and I go back over it with a paint and it activates, I'm not going to call it reactivation. I'm just saying that's what I noticed. And
maybe you just need to break out the hairdryer.
Yeah, because I'm not using it for anything else. So I got 2 boxes of those because I'm going to need those later on. But I have had some fun just with playing with them a little bit and seeing how they work. pretty interesting. Pretty interesting.
Nice.
Super long life on the wet palette, but I'm learning to not use wet palettes again. So going back, everything's a circle. Everything's a circle.
Absolutely.
And wandering around before, when I had nothing else to do, and you just find this little teeny weeny place in the corner was Warlord Games, and they had some Judge Dredd stuff, and I love Judge Dredd, so I grabbed a whole bunch of their pieces. I did not realize they had such a huge game, but I got a bunch of pieces, and I'm going to be painting those up.
Nice.
And that is all I had. That's all I think bought. Oh no, I got the Angry Chickens.
Oh, that's true, right? From Parabella Games. There's
yes,
a Resin Beast entry for next year.
Definitely, those look fantastic, and the detail is crazy on them. They really are well done. So I think that's going to be a fun piece. I might even have it done for Nova just for shits and giggles. I just got to find a good way to paint my cock.
Matt. Yeah, I don't know.
So that is actually all that I spent. I mean, there wasn't. I didn't need anything else. Plus, I was kind of worried about what I was going to do about getting it home, which we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a moment. Yeah. So, honestly, I would say 50% of my expenditures were based on stuff I needed for my pieces. And so I bought some grass tufts. I had to buy super glue because I broke the sword off of my Resin Beast entry. And then I had to buy putty to fill the gap in the sword where the sword was because I didn't bring any putty with me. I will never make that mistake again. I did have it my Milliput taken from me by TSA on my way to ReaperCon. Yeah, on my way to ReaperCon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so yeah,
blasting explosives.
Right, exactly. It's a 2-part epoxy. And so next time I'm just going to throw it in my book bag, and if they don't, and it's funny because I had this little 2-part little tiny thing of green stuff that I was like, should I bring it? Nah, I won't need it. Yeah, that was stupid.
That stuff.
Anyways, so with that being said, I got a Malifaux iconic called Wild Ride, which is basically a kid in a cart with a monster stuffed animal behind him, and I'm looking forward to paint that. I also stopped by BlackRock Games. They have this horror board game where they have all these characters done from different genres in it, and I got Agent Scully and Mulder figures, which I have an idea for a nice little fun diorama with them. That who knows if that'll ever come to fruition. I also got I don't know the name of it. I met RMW Prince. They actually followed the show already, and it was nice to talk to them. And he has a license for Ouroboros miniatures. And I love Tim's stuff. Tim was a guest of the show. I love the stuff that they produce. And so he actually had he had a printed 75 millimeter figure of a cyberpunk woman holding up 2 guns, and I just couldn't say no. And he gave me a really good price on it. So I was really excited about that. I'm trying to think if anything else.
Did you buy anything? You didn't get anything from Artis Opus, did you?
No, because they honestly, I contemplated getting one of their small dry pallets, but they were all out.
Yeah, I know
they sold out of them on Friday, so
I wouldn't doubt that.
And so yeah, I was contemplating that, but I didn't. It was nice. You got a demonstration from Byron on how to dry brush. I got one from the guy from Faux Hammer. And so that was kind of cool. Byron was cool. Busy painting something for a friend.
Yeah.
And so, that was towards the end of the convention too. They're getting ready to close. You're probably annoyed that they had to do one more demo.
Yeah, I know. Hey, we threw enough stuff at them. They were, they probably didn't mind.
Yeah, I mean, we gave them like the whole, everybody at their booth got dice,
Pretty much, yeah.
We
still have handfuls of dice left.
We still have a lot of dice left. And yeah, you do. By the way, you need to go into Patreon to get Carolyn's address and send her
Oh, okay. Yeah.
out.
Send all that stuff out.
I'm trying to honestly, and honestly, what deterred me even more from buying stuff was that the goodie bag from entering the Resin Beast had so much stuff in
That's
it,
right.
and
You had so much other stuff. Yeah.
right, uh, had Turbo Dork paints in it, Cuttlefish paints in it, the new Awada paints. Medea had a set of those in it, and like 4 miniatures in it. I'm like, yeah, I just can't. There was nothing that jumped out at me. I was very tempted. There, I wanted to get some from Journeyman Miniatures. It just, and the other one that the two that were driving me crazy were Journeyman and then Mindwork Games.
Yeah.
And
God,
I
man, that
have,
stuff is amazing.
oh yeah, and I have the new version of the Puppet Master for
Yeah.
Mindwork Games, which I absolutely adore. I wish that they were part of the Resin Beast because that would actually force me to paint that. That would be really cool if they were part of it and you could enter a Mindworks game piece into it. Because their stuff is just out of this world.
Yeah, no shit. It's so intimidating that's one of the reasons why I didn't even purchase any of them and just went with comic stuff
You
because
should have got the pizza guy if you liked it. That wasn't.
no, I liked everything.
Yeah.
I've seen I follow with the artist Patrick. Shit, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. So I followed him before I knew he was doing all these sculpts and everything. They were doing all these sculpts for him.
Yeah.
And then they paint these things up, and I'm like, holy shit, man. It's another world. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not even remotely close. Why spend that much money on a piece where I'm not going to do justice? And they were selling out. They were selling out of a lot of this stuff. So I go to a true artist, let them paint it and put it in some competitions and win. That's not going to happen with me. It's going to sit in the box. So,
but yeah, so
that's
there were so many display figure groups there because you also had Neko Galaxy was there, and then you had other vendors just selling them. Journeyman Miniatures was there. Mali and Tim, we got to meet them, and that was nice. Big Child Creatives was there.
Yeah. Well, Scale 75 had all that stuff there.
Scale 75 had all their stuff there. They did some good customer service there. They hooked me up with one of the pieces I bought for them on their Black Friday sale was missing a head. And so they actually just brought me the head of the piece, which was funny. And so it was good on them. Customer service, really excited to get the head on that miniature. And I was wrong, by the way, that piece wasn't chipped. The way it fits in, it's covered. So yeah, okay. I finally assembled that whole model because I had the head now. And that I'm looking forward to paint. I've talked about it before. It's their kind of Viking knight guy, bald head. I'm trying to think. I bought glue, super glue. Yeah, I kept going back to Michigan Toy Soldier because they had all the hobbying stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I did get my art of Chris Surrey signed by Chris, which was great. And so it was pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, we got to talk to him for a while. That was good.
Good guy. Yeah, we have pictures on the old Instagram of that now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we ran into so many people that it was really awesome to meet them, you know. Yeah. And I've even had a conversation. It's funny because I was going to I went up and introduced myself to Zambies, but she was masked up, which fine. I totally whatever. That you totally respect it. It was a huge convention, lots of people. Yeah, I actually at times was questioning whether I should be masked or not. And so I didn't want to invade space and ask for a selfie because of that. I wanted to respect her space. And so, but it was nice to meet her in person. Yeah. So many of the people, it was kind of cool, you know, and then I actually cornered Steven Garcia in a vendor. We were both
Oh.
walking around Elric's Hobbies at the same time, and I'm like, Steven, and I'm like, I heard a rumor you were here. And so he's a multi-time guest of the show, so it was great. Way back, you want to talk a little bit about the way back on Monday, because it was a little eventful for one of our friends.
Yeah, so let's see. I guess we left. Let's see. I went to breakfast just to get a little something with Josh from the Meg Bay.
And you left me when you left me. I was in the breakfast area talking with Aaron Lovejoy and Liz Hunt.
Yes, yes, and we talked a while with them, and
Yep.
then I took off real quick because he was like, "Where are you at?" I was like, "Well, I'm just talking to some artists," and so we hung out there, and then we came back to the room, and it was kind of like, "Hey, let's go," I guess. So I guess we just all packed up and went to the airport, and while we're there, we all started getting all the pings that we were being delayed. Half an hour here, an hour there. Wasn't too bad. And then he got your plane has been canceled. One thing that you did not see because you were outside because we were there a little early. So when he was coming through TSA, he won a lot of the tournaments, BattleTech tournaments and stuff. So Adepticon gives out those big um, necklace or medals. I don't know if you've seen them or not.
Yeah.
They're all like, and they look like cogs. So when he was trying to go through security, it kept pinging, and so they made him open up his bag and they made him pull out all of his winnings because they were worried that it was a machine or some crap. He's like, they're awards. Here's the box that says award on it, and they're like, you gotta take it out. So they had to take it all out. So I'm sitting there for like 15 minutes watching them go through all his shit. Poor guy. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And on his Discord, there's a whole conversation about what was going on. It's pretty funny.
That's
So
funny.
that was before it was canceled. So we just wandered around and we're waiting for you. And we went to go get a drink. And right when I ordered his drink, his flight was canceled. So he ended up, we said bye because we didn't know when we were ever going to see him again. Handed him his drink, and then I find out about 15 minutes later that he's going to Washington D.C.
Right.
and the plane right after ours.
Right.
But then he had like a 4-hour delay.
Right.
So we got to hang out with him for a little bit longer. It's always cool to talk to him and everything. I really enjoy his company. So
we messed up though. One thing we have not talked about.
I know we have not talked about dinner.
That dinner that Sunday night. Yeah. And so it was great to get to meet Josh in person finally. And then hang out with him a few separate occasions, longer than expected.
Many occasions, yeah. So, but it was all good, and he's a good guy, so it was good just to hang out with him and just talk to shit and then get on home. But before that, we got to talk about dinner. So I don't remember the name of this place. What was it?
It's like Westwood Tavern,
something like that. So we just wanted to grab something to eat real quick. Didn't know what to expect. So I think we said, hey, just put us in a booth. So they put us in a giant booth for like 18 people, but that was all right. And I guess we ordered. I can't remember if we ate first. I think we ate first, didn't we? Or did?
Yeah, we ordered.
Okay, we ordered, and then I can't remember if we drank or anything at this point.
I got a cider and you got a beer, I think.
That's right. That's right. I can't remember what I got. I don't remember what I got. But I had a burger and I thought it was pretty damn good until what, Mike?
The French fries. Holy crap, those French fries. I could have eaten those French fries all night long. They were fresh cut. They had malt vinegar, and I guess there was this like special kind of sea salt on them.
I don't know what it was, but man, they were like crispy on the outside, airy on the inside. Wow. They were fantastic. So my wife's giving me the hairy eyeball when I'm talking to her about it, and she's like, "Whatever, they're just French fries." I'm like, "No, you don't understand. I like French fries. I know French fries. These were on a different planet, kind of. There was like, I have these world class painters, and I have this world class freaking French fries. I have to go to Chicago again. I hate this place, but I still gotta go. Fantastic French fries. Their burger was really stinking good.
Yeah,
It
good
was
bacon.
huge too.
It was a
It was
huge burger.
gigantic.
Perfect. They
And
nailed the cooks perfectly on it. I haven't had a perfectly medium rare burger in a long time. It was really
yeah,
good.
yeah, everything around it was good. And then Mike decided he wanted to go take a smoke.
So I went outside, and it was really funny. I was kind of walking around, and as I was outside, Aaron and Liz, Aaron Lovejoy and Liz Hunt were leaving and walking back. They actually stayed in the same hotel as us, and so I got to talk to them for a few minutes. And then, as I'm going back into the restaurant, out walks Eric Swinson, Alfonso, and David Aroba. And they're having this. I talk to him, say hi for a little bit. It's really good. And David and Alfonso are having a conversation about Golden Demon. And when I was there, it was fast Spanish, but it wasn't that fast. There was some passion, but it wasn't really escalatory. And then it was funny because Eric's like, I don't really give a damn about this stuff. So he was just kind of hanging out. And so I went back in and said to Dan, go say goodbye to Eric and Alfonso. And, because they're outside. We don't know if we're going to see him again before the next, before we leave. And then all I can do is apologize.
Yeah. So I step outside, and I'm already a wallflower, so it was already kind of weird and awkward. But apparently, in the 30 seconds or so between our handoffs, and I jump into the ring, um, Banshee is like irate at this point. if you've experienced his I guess excitedness, you understand where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of F-bombs for someone that doesn't have English as their primary language. But fuck this, fuck that. Those fucking idiots, if you want to do it, you change it. Yeah, lots of that. And I was just like, what the fuck did I just walk into? And Eric is just, he's smoking and he's nodding his head. And he's like, yeah. And then they start going off in Spanish, and being American, I don't know any other foreign languages, so I didn't know what they were talking about. Then I just slinked away, and then I thanked Mike for sending me into the freaking viper pit of angry artists. It was fun. It was neat to listen to other people discuss what their observations were of the events of the weekend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look,
so actually it was kind of fun and neat because we started our con and ended our con with Banshee and
Eric,
so
right?
It was kind of cool. So it was not kind of cool. It was cool.
It was cool, and it's not so. It was just passion. They're both passionate artists and love their work, and it's not. Everybody's got an opinion about.
They're more vocal. It's just. It's not negative. It's not bad. It's just they get overly excited and they talk with their hands a lot and they raise their voices.
And they're at some level, both of them are right too. You know what I mean? Like that's what the funny part of it is. But like they can both be correct in it. It's just a different perspective, and it was nice to kind of get to see that. I just always Eric is such he's. I don't even know how to describe Eric's personality. He's incredibly even keeled. Doesn't seem to get nothing really seems to get to him, and so I think he was just kind of enjoying being a third party observer to the passion of it as well.
I think so.
And part of the reason why you go to a Banshee class is because of his passion.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And his passion comes out in his artwork and the way he treats his students, and it's all good. And it's very rare to be able to get such a handsome teacher as well.
Sure, say so.
Oh, come on, that's a running theme throughout his
Yeah,
classes.
yeah.
And so even don't you remember when we took the picture with him? I made a comment about it. I said, I don't know, I feel bad kind of ruining the picture, having us with such a handsome painter. And he's like, this is very true.
Yeah.
So yeah, just they're great people, and it was just a lot of. And like I said, when I went out there, the conversation had not got that heated. They had just walked outside, and so
Yeah, they didn't have time to marinate. And
no. I was only out there for a minute. I didn't want to.
Yeah,
I felt like I might have
been out
been
there.
but it was funny. It was a funny situation for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, okay. So why don't we hit up what will we do differently next year?
Okay, so actually, I haven't put much thought into that. So, if we go next year, what would we do? No, if everything is the same, the first thing I would do is not bring paints.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's like the first thing. There's so much paint there, and you don't know what the instructors are going to want you to use. Most of my instructors were using Chimera paints. Next year's, I would imagine they either will be doing the same or maybe even AK third generations, because I didn't see that many of them there, but I knew that they were there.
They did have a
Um,
booth. They had actually had a huge booth there too at Adepticon. I was surprised. I didn't realize they were there.
so that would be the first thing that came to mind, because halfway, I think after the first day, Thursday, and then Friday, I can't remember if I took them on Friday or not.
You did not. You were
Yeah,
like,
so that was it. So I didn't
yeah.
bring anything after that. It was just like, we have all the paints here. There's no need to have them. There's no need to take them anymore.
Right.
And I kind of sort of felt bad, but at the same time, they're like, people were putting stuff on their palettes, and I did it also. And they're like, we're using these paints. Well, okay. Well, let me take this off and start another palette and
Mm-hmm.
go from there. So that is one thing. I would bring my paintbrushes, because if you get paintbrushes from them, they're probably not going to be the best quality.
Bring your own paintbrushes. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely bring your own paintbrushes. You can bring your own palette, but every class I had the red grass palettes. So why do I need to bring palettes? I don't know if all your classes had them or not, but we had red grass palettes in all of ours. And I think
For loaded brush, I didn't use my palette. I used the plate palette.
Did we use the plate palette?
Yeah, I used the plate palette. I don't know if you did or not.
I can't remember.
My palette was still dry, so I didn't want to have to worry about carrying it around.
Okay.
Because I knew I was going to go back to the hotel and paint.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I would definitely decrease the amount of paints I brought. And I think the reason why I brought so many paints is because those were all the paints that were necessary for the two projects that I had.
Yeah.
And so.
Oh, I'm not even going to bring paints, because I'm not expecting to be painting at night.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm
I'm
ready,
hoping
it's not
not
ready.
to be.
Go.
I'm hoping that to be for sure.
So what about you? What's something that you would do or change for next time around?
I'm really down with the idea of driving next year.
Yeah,
I feel like the potential of having a car it solves.
Oh, we hadn't even talked about that. So why would driving be better? It solves the space issue,
Mm-hmm.
because we were trying to figure out how the hell to get all the shit back home.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily for us, we have a local who drove with his father, Greg. We've known him for quite a while, taken lots of classes with him.
Exactly.
And he's like, hey, I could take your shit. And we're like, oh my gosh, you're a lightsaber. Lifesaver, not a lightsaber. Uh, you're a lightsaber too.
That
So
might be even better than a lifesaver.
yeah, probably. I think so. Um, so I mean, we were getting ready to dish out an equal amount of money that we paid to get the VIP stuff back home. So driving a vehicle, yes, it's a lot longer by a couple hours. Um, but it alleviates some issues. I
Well,
think
the other,
cost. Go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was saying like cost. Like we can bring food. Like that was expensive to buy a drink every day or to drink or to even have a snack or something. Lugging that stuff around. Now having a car, we could have went to the mall or went to Costco's and things like that. Maybe next year, or we just lug the stuff in.
Right. I mean, so I think the besides the food factor, which I absent the French fries and burger that night, and for some odd reason, the Chinese food at the airport was so good. I don't know why it was so good. It shouldn't have been that good. It was basically a knockoff of Panda Express.
Oh, that's right.
Um,
You went to that place, yeah.
yeah, it was so good. It was. I don't know why. Um, and I would not go to Buffalo Wild Wings again, though. You like that burger. My chicken was like rubber. It
Oh,
was so
well, you
bad.
got that's why I don't go because I don't like their chicken wings.
Yeah.
But I got to give them a thumbs up for that burger because the burger definitely was better than the freaking chicken wings they
I
had.
think you were just starved.
I think so. I do too. I was like, I'm going to
um,
go to the one around the corner here, and I'd be like, oh my god, this is disgusting.
right. And so I think the other big thing for me is that having a car there would provide a place to put stuff that we don't have to lug around. And you know what I'm saying? Like even if we don't stay at the hotel, the Renaissance next year, it still gives the opportunity to put stuff in and not, I don't know. It just
No,
really,
it does because so the folks we got to see just a tiny part of that area.
Mhm.
If we went down a little further, there was restaurants and everything else. A
Yeah,
lot of the folks are down there. I'm like, if we have a car, it doesn't take more than a couple minutes to get there. That
right.
2 or 3 miles is only 5 minutes, which is a lot quicker than us walking that half mile. And it's cheaper. So I think we save money that way also. So I'm
Mhm.
not opposed to that. Of course, I
Yeah.
would rather stay in the hotel because I just think that's going to be more fun. And I think that's,
Well, we could still take the car to those places too. So it's not even, it's
eh,
like,
yeah. But
I,
it definitely gives us the flexibility to get around if we need to. I don't have
Mhm.
to eat 3 freaking turkey wraps, but you know what? The turkey wraps are pretty cool. And there was a lot of freaking turkey they put in there.
That's good.
Those were fat, man. That was a lot. It was worth the money. That was worth the money.
The baked
But
potato bar was not.
yes, and
And I would
my
not,
body told me, yeah,
I,
and I think my body told me later on that the burrito bowls was probably not a very good choice either.
oh,
Um,
those were rough. You seemed to enjoy it while we were eating it, but I did not. I did not
I
like it.
did. I enjoyed the hell out of it when I was eating, and I knew it was going to come back to haunt me. And then, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that would be the other big thing is I learned a lot about myself in the context of 120 plus hours on my Golden Demon entry, less than 20 hours on Resin Beast, Golden Demon, Bottom Shelf, which is my new studio name, Bottom Shelf Studios.
You
And
better
then,
patent that shit.
yeah, right,
Put a
exactly.
copyright on it.
And then 20 hours top 10 for Resin Beast. I mean, I painted Resin Beast. It was fun to paint that piece. I just was just exploring things. There were unusual shapes on it. So yeah, I think I've kind of learned something about where my time is more valuably spent. While it was a great exercise in fundamentals in practicing edge highlighting and shadow light placement and blending and black lining, those were all good things. And I think my composition on the piece was pretty good with 6 figures on the base. Yeah, I just don't want to do that. I might I'm of the mentality now, if I happen to paint something for myself, Games Workshop, between now and the next Adepticon, I will enter it. I am not going to be seeking it out to enter the Golden Demon next year. I will be seeking out doing Resin Beast again. I've already actually got 3 projects mapped out for that because I actually enjoyed painting for that and I got some fun ideas. And then I will be doing I will enter the Marvel one too because I actually found the Colossus by himself instead of in the 2-pack for $10 and so on eBay. So I
Oh,
purchased
that's
that.
cool.
Yeah, so I have that coming to me, and so and Colossus is my favorite X-Men, and so I'm actually excited. These are the projects that I'm doing that I have listed out for the Resin Beast. They're not for competition projects. They are, oh, this is going to be fun to do. One of which is going to involve OSL, which I never do, and so that it's going to be fun. And that's just where I am. Um, After I have a wave of commissions that I have to finish.
I thought you
Right.
were done with those things.
No, I haven't finished the Blood Bowl ones, man, because he keeps
Oh,
dropping them off at my house. And so once those are all done, which will be hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I have one display commission to do, which is the lion, not the new one, the Forge World one. And
okay.
then I'm just painting for fun, and I'm hoping to get some private coaching and work on a bust and paint my Vampire Under D model and finish up some old projects that, like I have an owl that I want to finish up that I haven't painted on in over a year. And then there was a piece that I got at ReaperCon last year that was a 75 millimeter cartoon cat that I'm probably about 85% done with, and I want to finish that. So I'm just going to go through and try to finish old projects. And
That sounds like a familiar
yep,
goals
yep,
somehow.
and yep, absolutely. I'm totally copying you. But yeah, I think one of the other things that I would do differently is I am going to really force myself to do daily social media updates for us, and I think that's something that will really benefit the podcast.
Yeah, I totally failed in that. I didn't. I got like 2 pictures, and I'm just like, oh, I took probably about 5 or 6 pictures the whole time I was there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It just was not my mindset. I was in a different world. I wasn't thinking about it until it was too late, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't get pictures with anybody. I didn't, it wasn't until Sunday when I started thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, okay, well, those are just lost opportunities. And I'm
Well,
definitely
and
gonna get
and
some.
next year I want to go on Wednesday because I want to be. They had a content creator meet and greet,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, and so that was pretty cool. And I just found out about
Oh,
that after watching Zambi's Adepticon video. I'm like, holy crap, I didn't even know about that.
oh, do
Um,
we get special badges for that?
I
I
don't
don't think we
know.
have enough. We don't have enough listeners to.
Who knows? Maybe between now and then, we'll just keep growing the podcast, doing our best. But I'd like to get to that.
That means I got some stuff for you. Then
I'm hoping
we'll
that
talk about that later.
people that we met that are other content providers that said they wanted to collaborate respond to emails and such. I'm
Yeah.
really excited. We're getting ready to go. We're setting up to interview Aaron Lovejoy on Monday at the time we're recording this. So we're pretty excited. I put out on Patreon to see if any of our Patreons had questions they wanted us to ask him. Because I think a couple of our Patreons are miniature monthly people.
I wouldn't doubt that, or have been. Yeah. So
Well, you have been at one point. So
yes, I have. I've done a lot of their stuff, so it's fun.
So I guess so. There's not a ton. I have no regrets from Adepticon.
No, yeah, I think you're right. There's like no regrets. It was all new.
Hmm.
So if we did the exact same thing next year, I'd be like, oh, well, that was stupid. We
Right.
shouldn't have done that. We already talked about it. We should do it. One thing I want to do that I do want to throw in, and both of us, I think, are on the same wavelength on this. Unless this is like some crazy awesome instructor that comes down, I can't mentally or physically do a 7-hour class. That
Yeah.
was a soul suck.
Yeah.
not because the class was bad, because that is not true. It was just, it took so much energy to concentrate and to paint. Now, maybe if I'm painting for 2 or 3 hours a day and then painting longer on weekends, I might be able to build up to that. But being a person who paints like an hour every couple weeks, that was really, really hard on me, just mentally. And my shoulders messed up because I think I was holding my fingers for too long, and that's why I can't use this arm. Um, so I shorter classes. I want to take shorter classes next year. Um, I think some of these could be compacted in, but I understand they build in a lot of time for that one-on-one, which we're also paying for, which I totally appreciate. Still, after a while, my brain's just shutting off. And I noticed that both of my long classes, about 4.5 hours, my brain was just like, hey, you know what? You might want to do this anymore. There's other stuff to do.
Hmm.
Um, I don't want to, I don't want to be stuck in a room and paint for 4 days straight. I missed a lot of things. I missed meeting up with people. I want more time and flexibility to be able to do that next year. So, couple hour classes here, unless it's some super awesome superstar that I really need to have this class in. Other than that, I think I'm gonna just reel back those classes a bit and just be the guy who's sitting there drinking a beer and just walking by and just saying hey and throwing new colored dice at them or whatever we have for next year to give to everybody.
Right.
Just have fun. Just really just go and have fun.
And I think actually I might take one more class. I
You would
had a
do
lot of
functional class?
I not take the 7 hour class, but I only took 3 classes total. Thursday,
Okay.
Friday, Saturday.
4. So I dropped a class
Right.
because I was going to have a class Saturday night, and that was another 4 hour class.
Yeah.
And I did apologize to
Anthony.
Anthony about that. But I knew he was gonna sell out in that class, so I didn't feel as bad. I I just knew that if that's 3 nights in a row that I was having classes, not hanging out with people that I really wanted to hang out with, and then what am I getting out of it? Like, so I was like, I
Mhm.
gotta weigh this. So I went ahead and canceled that one class, but that still left me with 4 classes, right? Or 5.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I had 5. I still had 5 classes.
Right.
I think I'm thinking maybe 4 classes next year for me.
Hmm.
Unless it's a long one, then I would go to probably 3 classes. But to see what's out there and who's
Right.
teaching,
Exactly.
I might be able to finally land that Eric Swenson's non-metallic metal class.
He sells out quick. He does.
Yeah.
Or his Cast Shadow class, which goes fast too
Yeah,
now.
that was like instant. Yeah.
Hmm.
That would be a great
Well,
class
again, that's
also.
like going to Ben Cohen's for Loaded Brush. I mean, you go to Eric for Cast Shadows and non-metallic metal. The dude's master.
Yep.
I'm hoping that Andy Wardle does a brush control class next year. I actually talked to him about that, and so I would like to do that. That is like one of my goal classes for next year. But I don't want to definitely say never to another 7 hour class. I
No, but it
right
would
now,
have to be, yeah, it really have to be a special class or a special person.
but it might only want if I have another 7 hour class, it might be that I only take one other class. I might go down to
Possibly.
two. You
And
know
I
what I
don't
mean?
think, yeah. And I'm not going to say it was rough. Actually, I kind of enjoyed having the morning class because nothing is open anyway.
Right.
I wake up early. If nothing opens up until 10 o'clock,
Yeah.
I don't want to sit around for 3 hours not doing anything. That is definitely wasted time. Unless you go to that pancake waffle place, they had some good stuff. So maybe you go
Mhm.
there and hang out for a couple hours. But
We didn't get the Papadillas or whatever that place, the hot dog place. Next year, I want to do that too.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
there's a lot of things. And
yeah,
hey, you know what? If we get there a little early, definitely, I totally agree about getting there early.
yeah.
For y'all when we were doing our planning, I didn't think it was that important to get there on a Wednesday.
Well, you had work too,
Um,
so
but after, like like Thursday afternoon, I was like, man, that was a stupid mistake. We should have been going on Wednesday because even though there's just a couple things going on Wednesday, there's no not mandatory. There's nothing big going on. So that was like a great time to meet up with people and just have relaxing time to hang out with folks and shoot the breeze without it being like, okay, go. I have a class over here and you have a class and I got to teach. We wouldn't have to worry about that. And I think that definitely would have eased us in, at least me, better for that week. So
Yeah, it took me
I agree.
it took me all of Thursday to really be comfortable because I needed to figure out where everything was, and
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know, I
And
just yeah, it's such a big convention compared to like Nova or Reaper. You know what I mean? It's just that's a lot more people. uh,
yeah, a lot of walking, which isn't bad, but is a lot of walking. Multiple. Yeah, we'll see how Nova is this year. We'll see how Reaper is this year.
you know,
But
and
yeah, I think there's probably just go ahead.
no, go.
No, I'm saying I'm just trying to think if there was other things I would pack differently. We would, if we ended up driving, we just take a full week off. Sound like we're not going to have use or lose anyway,
Right.
because we're at federales. I mean, it's going to cost about the same amount. Might be a little bit more time involved in it, but the way
Actually, I
work
think
is
it'll be
going,
cheaper. I think it'll wind up being cheaper.
it probably will. And I think that for as much crap I've had, both of us have had to go through um, after we got back from this. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take as much time as I want to next year because it's just
Right.
going to be a shit sandwich when we come back. So,
Exactly.
uh, I'm like, I'm cool with that. We just go ahead and take our time, take that week and a half off, and just enjoy it and see what kind of cool stuff we have going on next year. God, I hope there's no Kickstarters because there's like 4 Kickstarters right now, and I'm just like pulling my hair out. The rest of what I have left.
So, are you
But
officially backing? How did you back the new one, the BattleTech one?
I was just gonna go with the basic thing, and then I decided to up it because the rewards were starting to come in, and I was like, shoot, I was like, I better do this one. Um, so yeah, I'm throwing a little bit more money in than I really wanted to. I still have another week and a half, so I might just reconsider that
Mm-hmm.
and drop down to my original one. Um, I can't paint all these fucking mechs anyway. I still have like 200 and freaking plastic ones that I have to paint. Um, so, and then I'm stripping them all. So, so who knows how many I have left now? I got a whole freaking table full of them. But I enjoy it. So, um, so I gotta, yeah. So I just don't want to keep adding to it and not get anywhere with it. I know that we have hopefully a lot more BattleTech gamers at our local store. We've been missing each other because work, and we went away for the week. Um, so they're coming back in. So as long as I'm getting games in and I'm playing, I don't mind supporting the company. But when that starts drying up a little bit, I'm going to have a little bit of heartache on it,
Right.
or heartburn about it. So I'm hoping it just keeps growing. Um, yeah. Um, yeah. So I'm trying to I'm sure there'll be a number of other things that we discuss in next year's. We're going to Adepticon,
Mm-hmm.
and the things that we'll probably do and not do, and things like that, and people we'll be meeting up with, and we'll definitely talk about what kind of cool classes are going to go on.
Absolutely. I want to do a try to do a live show too.
Well, by then we should be doing videos. We should be doing
We hope.
tutorials. We should be doing lots of things by then. It's a whole year away.
Yeah.
Lots of growth that we can do.
I don't know. I have lots of different potential of stuff to do, but
Yeah.
all right, man. Well, I think we are at the almost 2 hour mark.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll give him an extra long episode. Who
Yep.
cares?
No, that's okay. I just
Um,
meant we probably should start wrapping up a little bit.
Yeah.
Let me do this really quickly. I want to give a shout out to our Patreon patrons: Lee, Andrew, Michael, Colin, Carolyn, Cannibal Noises, and Raggedy Pants and Chris.
Raggedy Pants and Cannibal Noises. All right.
Yeah. And Chris as well. So thank you all very much for your support. We appreciate you and all that you have done for us. And please, if you are a Patreon and are hearing this, make sure you send us your address. Now that we're back from Adepticon, we will be in the process of sending out some rewards. And so we have some merch for you to grab.
Yes, we got some cool shit to hand out to y'all folks, and we want to send it out to you. So give us your addresses.
Absolutely, and we're looking forward to it. And we have a bunch of we're trying to get our act together and figure out a couple other things that are down the pipe. I need to get back into figuring out the listening to paint dry miniature as well. So that's going to be fun. That is high on my to-do list now that we are a little bit calmer here. So again, thank you to our Patreons. Thank you very much to any of our listeners. If you do want to consider throwing a couple of bucks at us, we'd appreciate it. It helps defray, not really defray the cost of the podcast. We're using it mostly for sponsorship of painting competition, which we've already done the Kill Team Open, and we're hoping to do. We're hoping to do a ReaperCon and Nova Open, a youth award. Both are still kind of up in the air. I don't know if I will be at ReaperCon this year because I don't know if I'm teaching or not because the whole class thing hasn't come out about yet. And I know some people have gotten class stuff. And so we'll figure that out sooner rather than later, hopefully. But anyways, the goal is to sponsor painting competitions in places that don't necessarily have painting competitions, and also celebrate youth achievements in miniature painting as well. Both Dan and I have kids, and we love kids and wish our kids actually got into the hobby too. But hey, we'll just have to live vicariously through other parents. But
yes, nothing wrong with that.
exactly.
And hey, if you don't have any art competitions or art shows in your small or large conventions that you run in your place, let us know. We have some experience in it. We could probably put something together for you or help you out with it.
Help you out, absolutely.
And we enjoy that stuff. We enjoy doing this for the community. We enjoy this hobby. We might not be any good at it, but we do enjoy it. And if we can get other people involved and have them be proud of the work that they're doing in their hobby, then that's all the better. And that makes us all feel good.
Right. Absolutely. So with that being said, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube at Listening to Paint Dry. We're also on Twitter at Dry Listening. I haven't fully abandoned that yet. I still do some posting on Twitter. We'll see how that goes. Drop us a line, listeningtopaintdry@gmail.com. If you have comments, suggestions, let us know. Were you at Adepticon and we missed you, or what was your best experience at Adepticon? Besides meeting us, if we met, we'd love to hear from you.
If you don't feel like sending us an email, you can also go to Discord.
We do have a Discord. Yep.
Yes, Listen to Paint Dry, and it's pretty dry over there. So please send us something because I stare at it all day long and cry because no one sends us a message.
You know what you could do? You could post on there. You could start conversations.
Oh, I could?
You could, yeah.
I can do that?
Yeah, you're allowed.
Oh, okay. All right, well, maybe I'll start doing that. So you need to go there so you can see what kind of questions I'm presenting on the Discord side, which is right. Listening to Paint Dry. If you're being really, really lazy, you can go to Linktree at Listening to Paint Dry also, and it has all of our links there, so you don't have to plug them all in. Mm-hmm. That's all I have.
Like, subscribe, and follow wherever you get your podcasts. And if you could leave us a good review, we would certainly appreciate it. We are available on over 200 plus podcast platforms. You don't have to go to a convention to become a better, braver, and happier painter. But you know what? It was a lot of fun. And I can't say that it hurt my journey. Until next time.
See ya.
Listening to Paint Dry with Mike and Dan is a production of LTPTWMD. All rights reserved. No portion of this recording may be used without the express written consent of the host. The music is Death by a Thousand Questions by Springtide.
Download from the Free Music Archive on a non-commercial attribution share-alike basis. All views and opinions expressed in the show are solely the views and opinions of the person who said them. All celebrity voices, if any, were impersonated and done so poorly.